What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to J.Craft's Garage. Well, I am doing a little bit more work to the 95 F350. When I was coming home with it from the valley, I could hear a little bit of noise in the front end, and really got a question in my mind about what's going on with it. This was when I was rolling down the road, and I could hear something like bad wheel bearings or something like that. Doesn't happen very often with the type of wheel bearings that this truck has, but it does happen. Let's get more into it, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I've already started taking the truck apart. As you can see, I got the wheel off and I got it up on a jack, and I've also taken the caliper off of the rotor on this truck. And as you can see, the rotor is not a rotor and hub by itself. It's all together. It's all one piece. So in this type of situation here, it's got a couple of bearings that you can take out of it and replace, and that's what we're going to do here. So while we're rolling down the road, I don't know if you can hear it or not, it's making a loud noise inside this hub. So we're going to take it apart, replace the bearings and races in it, put new bearings, repack the bearings with grease, and put everything together and see how it sounds. So I wound up getting the rotor off and everything, and as you can see, with the bearings and everything, they're pretty much don't have very much grease left. I don't know if you can see that very well. Not too much grease, and then this one here doesn't even. I think this one here is the worst culprit on the bearing. So there's an outer bearing, which is a smaller one, and then there's an inner bearing, which is this bigger one here. Of course, there's a seal behind the bigger bearing and everything. So we're getting everything cleaned up. I'm going to take out the races on this one. The races are these rings, so to speak, in here. We're going to replace the races, and how am I going to do that? I'm going to take a punch and a hammer and just knock them out, and then I've got a tool to reinstall the new races with here, and I'll show you how all that goes back together here in just a minute. Well, I got the races out of the hub and rotor over here, so now I'm just going to clean everything up. So all you have to do to get these out is just take a punch and a hammer and get on the edge of it and just start working it out all the way around, and they will come out. Now I'm going to put the new races in, and there's a special tool. I don't think it's special. I mean, O'Reilly's, you can rent it from, and they have a tool that you can put the races around and then just hit them back in instead of having to use a punch to try to punch them back in and everything. And I'll show you all how all that works. So as you can see, I've got the new race installed into the hub there. So what I did, out of this kit, I selected a driver. That's what this whole part is. And what you do is you put it on the race and you just drive it down in there just like that with the hammer until it bottoms out. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward and everything. You can get the kit at O'Reilly's, not sponsored, and you can rent it from them to do work like this in the event that you have a vehicle like this where you can replace the bearings. Unlike most vehicles nowadays, all the new ones, you just have a whole hub assembly. You just unbolt the hub, bolt the hub back on, and keep going just like that one there. So we're going to do the outer race and then get the new bearings and put everything back together. So after a few tubes of grease and a zero sugar Powerade, I was able to get some grease in a wheel bearing. Yes, the wheel bearings have to be greased before you put it all back together. Now, the little packer that I use, which I should get another one, looks like this. It's pretty plain Jane. Pretty simple. You just put the bearing in there like this, center it up in the middle, and then you put this part here. Don't worry, it's just the plastic part that's broken. It still works. In the middle, like that, tighten it down and everything, and then you just pump your grease into that packer there. Like I said, I need to get a new one. This one here is about wore out, as many bearings as I've done with it. And then once it's full, you can see it in the middle. You'll see it in the middle where the grease starts squirting out. And then once you get it out, you put a whole bunch of grease on the outer part of the wheel bearing. You want to make sure everything is coated with grease, and I'm using Amsoil grease to go in it. Not sponsored, and which will last quite a while. At least that's what the hope is. So we're going to get this other wheel bearing put in. Actually, what we're going to do first, after we got this wheel bearing put in, is put the seal behind it. I got a new wheel seal for it there since I'm redoing everything. And install the rotor back onto the truck. Oh, we got everything back together. I got the outer bearing packed and greased and everything, as well as the new wheel seal on the back of the rotor, and no more noise. It is really quiet, and it's tight, so we shouldn't have no more issues for a few years from now, as long as I keep them greased and keep them maintained. This is part of maintenance on this vehicle, is redoing the wheel bearings in the front end. If they're not making noise, you can reuse them and repack them. You just got to clean out the old grease, clean up everything, repack them with grease, and put them back on. But in this case here, they were making noise because the grease was all no good, had dried out, and ran with no grease. So we're gonna put it all back together and get her working. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna get out of here. I appreciate everybody for watching. This video is short and sweet, and the way these wheel bearings go on this truck, yep, it's pretty much short and sweet. I didn't want to bore you with the other side, because the other side was just about the same as the one side that we took off. Again, I appreciate everybody watching. If you haven't done so already, like and subscribe to the channel, and let anybody know who has interest in what I'm doing about my channel. Hope everybody's well, hope everybody is safe, and I look forward to seeing y'all right here on the next video.